الله بالخير. لعل الأثر المدوي يختصر حضور العظماء. النصر هو النجاح في الحفاظ على القيمة حتى نهاية الحرب، فكم من قاتل مهزوم ومن مقتول منتصر. السيد حسن نصر الله سيد شهداء الأمة التصق بقيمة مواجهة الظلم رغم خذلان العالم أطفال غزة، ووثق ذلك بدمه وثباته في الأرض وعروجه. أطنان المتفجرات التي استهدفت جسده حررت روحه العاشقة للقاء، فخرج من الدنيا قائدا منتصرا بعدما أسس مدرسة الصدق والتضحية والثبات والعشق والوحدة والحكمة والقوة والكرامة والعزة والسؤدد. رجل احتاج الأعداء إلى 85 طنا من المتفجرات ليقتلوا جسدا، بينما احتاج المفاعل النووي إلى بضع مئات فقط. هذا المعلم والمربي والقائد الشهيد لا يموت على فراش المرض ولا يذبل في شيخوخة السنين. قامة وهيبة كهاتين لا يرحل من يحملهما إلا هكذا، شهيدا في بطن ضاحية بيروت المقاومة في أسمى معركة مع أخبث عدو. سيسمع العالم عن رجل بطل صنديد حمل أمة على كتفيه، ثم مضى وارتقى سيد المقاومة وقائدها الفذ. بعد عام من الغياب المرافق لضجيج الأحداث المصيرية في كل اتجاه، أين نشاهد حضور السيد حسن نصر الله؟ وهل ما زال موجها لبوصلة الصراع؟ هل ثبت كل ما استقرأه واستشرفه من تبعات ما يجري حولنا اليوم؟ نرحب بكم ونرى ونسمع أكثر من السيد ألاستير كروك، الدبلوماسي البريطاني السابق في البعد الأقرب. هذه الميادين وأنا زينب صفار، خليكم ويانا. Alasdair Crooke, former British diplomat, founder and director of Conflicts Forum. Salama, welcome to Al-Mayadeen. This is the proximate aspect. I'm Zainab Al-Safa. Such a pleasure to have you, Alasdair.
I know the pleasure is mine, and a privilege too to be on your first program. And
yes.
I wish you all good fortune with the new program.
Thank you. Well, it's been a long time and heaps of events happened since we last talked. One of the most prominent was losing an extraordinary leader like Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. Today, remembering a leader and a year of upheavals, we would appreciate a few words on the solemn occasion of the first anniversary to commemorate the loss of an outstanding and erudite, charismatic leader, Alasdair.
Well, a leader like that cannot be quickly and easily replaced because, as you say, he had great charisma, but he had something much more than that, which really distinguishes a leader more than just another politician. I do feel that he had enormous wisdom, that he had a sort of sense of proportion. He had a sense of, if you like, the greater balance in the world, how to achieve a balance, how to do diplomacy, and at the same time, understand the forces, understand the balances, and to take it forward. And so he had this wisdom. And the second thing that was quite striking was that the movement of which he was the head had this ethos, a moral ethos, and it had the sense also of being a real community, a community in which everyone played a part, whether they were high level or less level, but everyone played a part in this community. And it was based also not just on an ideology, it was based on philosophy. And all of the members, even the military wing, were taught philosophy. That doesn't happen in the West. So it was strikingly different, and the results were very obvious. Of course, he will be sorely missed, but it only redoubles, I think, people's desire to follow in the right path. He showed the path, and people will follow in the path, like Ibn Hussein.
Yes, Alasdair, right. We will detail more on this particular issue, but allow me here to stop at a very important point. You praise Sayyid Nasrallah for creating a society within a society that had purpose, with a moral sense to it, a sense of belonging, so to say. How much of a visionary he was in this sense, and what images has this society illustrated and inculcated during the war, in the aftermath of the so-called ceasefire agreement back in November 2024, and particularly, Alasdair, after the end of the period of 60 days?
Oh, I mean, you can't really sort of pin this down and describe it in a sort of literal terms. I think what I'm trying to suggest is, yes, it was a society, within a context of the West, which is in a state of falling nihilism and is becoming incapable to act, to function normally. It is becoming deranged, and it is becoming more and more wild in its actions. And so, you know, he played this part, which was so important, that he was there as a source of, as I say, sagacity and wisdom and understanding. And he knew how to maneuver politically as well as militarily between these major forces. And so, you know, this is very unique. And, you know, there are one or two real leaders in today's world, none of them in the West, but elsewhere, perhaps, that had that quality. It had a huge impact. And of course, it does carry on. I mentioned Ibn Hussein, and all of these leaders that showed you that you have to follow the path and keep on the path.
Right. Alasdair, as someone who spent quite an extensive period of time here in the region, traveling back and forth, and who actually lived in Beirut for a while, do you think, as far as you know, that Hezbollah, as some might argue, is unkillable? Can any side end their resistance power and influence by simply assassinating its iconic leader or leaders?
Oh, I mean, obviously it was a setback, but it would be silly to pretend it wasn't a setback. But what I think we've seen was that it has been overcome, just as we saw in Iran. I was in Iran just before the sneak attack by the Israelis, a decapitation attack also. Both of those characterized by attacks when both the movement was engaged in studying a peace process here in Lebanon and was bringing the people together. And the same in Iran, that in fact the Iranians were waiting for Witkoff, the envoy of Trump, to arrive for the next round of talks. And so it was set up. Both of them were set up to bring people together. And we've seen the same in Doha. You know, or Hamas told to assemble to consider Mr. Witkoff's proposals for Gaza.
Mhm.
And what happened was another attempted, failed decapitation strike. So we've seen these things. Take place. What I think is, people always ask me what is the state of Hezbollah and what is its condition. Now, I don't know because I'm no longer in Lebanon and I don't have direct contact with them. But I think it seems to me that the resistance as a whole is taking these opportunity to, if you like, lie low, to prepare and get themselves ready because they realize that the next episode is about to start. It's going to start soon, and it will be a big war, and it will be probably a wider war.
Right.
And so everyone is preparing, if you like, for that.
Yes, but allow me now to take you back and talk about Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. Was the enemy able to neutralize him or weaken his presence? What did the assassination of this leader achieve so far in your perspective? Has the resistance become weak? I mean, yes, you said that they went underground perhaps, but has the resistance become weak in his absence?
I don't think so. But, they've gone black. I mean, they very sensibly don't use any communications.
That's the way it should be, perhaps.
That's exactly the way it should be, to go dark at this period, because they don't need anyone to know, including me, how their state of readiness for the next round of war is to be. And they need to prepare and get everything into order. But yes, stay right out of it, go dark, keep out of the publicity, say as little as possible in the public domain. Every time you say something, every time a phone is used, even for routine things, you're exposing yourself to danger. It's just, phones are a huge danger now. Not only might they explode in your pocket and mutilate you, but phones can lead to this use of AI by some of these American companies to identify and follow people. This is what it is. And, what they were saying was that, in fact, in Doha, that the Americans were tracking, Hamas were not using their cell phones, but maybe some of the bodyguards were. So, I mean, you have to get rid of all that Western technology, get rid of it completely, and don't use it. Use some other type of communication, but stay off it. These AI systems are very powerful.
Right. Now, Alasdair, from Israel's perspective, was removing him worth the terrible war that followed? And do the Israelis feel safer now, especially in light of a foolish Netanyahu who is on a cold-blooded killing spree and wars of aggression left, right and center, manifested in as you said, the recent attacks against Iran, Qatar, Tunisia, Yemen, Gaza, Syria and Lebanon? Can Israel bomb its way into safety?
This is the plan, yes. The plan is to abandon, to tear up, if you like, the rules order to the extent it existed, beyond being just a narrative. So yes, the aim was to cross every boundary, every frontier, to cross every norms, values, international law, humanitarian law, to give absolute liberty to Israel to attack where and when and whenever they wanted to. And this was the point of this element. And, I think, just to say, I mean, this is a profound change that is taking place, has been taking place in Israel. I wrote about it 10 years ago when I was there in Lebanon, that I thought we were moving to a war of religious symbols.
Excuse me,
Al-Aqsa on
Alistair,
one side.
but it's not only in Israel. If the US now mirrors Israel's lawlessness, like targeted killings, sneak attacks, wars without truce, does this not accelerate global resistance to both powers?
Well, it does, but I was going to come on to that because, this is something that is really sort of bizarre because what we're seeing is, as you say, the White House is pursuing the same tactics as Israel. I mean, not just jointly with Israel, like in Iran, but I mean, in Yemen, decapitation was what they wanted to do. Except that our aim there is to decapitate. Assassinations. They're following exactly these, if you like, extra legal, these war without limits. Look at what's happened at Venezuela. The boats sort of offshore of Venezuela are just blown up, and the crew, the people on board these boats are vaporized. I mean, this is completely illegal and completely against, ordinary morality. So, yes, in one hand, we have seen Israel move to what some Israelis have called, if you like, the third stage of Zionism, the stage of barbarian Zionism, which is what I'm talking about. No limits, no borders, no restraint. And what is strange is that the United States, which had these values, or said it had these values, it said it was a Christian state and had values, is now adopting the same language. Mm-hmm. And I think what we're seeing, and what I have seen, and I've commented about it, is just as we've seen Israel move to the sort of, if you like, the justification of Amalek, if you like, the very extreme Armageddon type of just war. They see this as a just war, absolute war. Mm-hmm. No, it's not just war just to sort of turn the other cheek and be nice. Just war means the complete annihilation of the opposition to you. And increasingly, I think there is an attempt, if you like, to upload software in the West, which follows this, moves away from, if you like, the traditional Western St. Augustine view of what is a just war, which is very different from the Talmudic a just war. And the move away from that. And they keep saying, yes, no, it's not, it's not justice to turn the other cheek, that's weakness. That's moral relativism. And therefore, what we have to do is absolute war. Kill them all. Destroy the towns. That's justice. Right. And of course, there's a huge contradiction here and a huge tension. And we're seeing this tension play out, not just in this, but also in the killing of Charlie Kirk, where we're seeing, and this is very important. I mean, the question is not what actually happened, who or what was behind his shooting. But what is really important is we know that he was moving against Israel. And he'd been doing that for some time. Initially, he was very much funded and supported. But he turned, even when Netanyahu was in touch with him, promised him huge funding, and asked him to come to Israel, and he said
And he lied
no.
about the letter, actually.
Oh, yes. He had a letter, and he was under huge pressure. But my point here is that we see, and if you follow, and I've been following some of the, young MAGA people,
right?
I mean, they are angry, very angry about what is going on and what happened to Charlie. And what is clear is that they are losing, that Israel is losing a vital component of young Republicans, and not just
So,
Republicans, but also
in a second, Alasdair, is Israel in a moral meltdown?
Oh, yes, because it's lost its justification, it's lost its ethos. For a second time, they lost it in 48 when there was no inquiries, no proper accountability. Terrible things happened during this. It's again happening, and the ethos is completely lost. What does Israel stand for? Endless killing, endless wars, mad dog war? I mean, is that what your ethos is? So yes, it is causing a huge rupture in Israel, but it's now also in America.
Sure.
And I know you want to stop me, but I'll just say this last thing. Netanyahu and Ron Dermott seem to think that the turning of the tide against them in America and around the world doesn't matter because they have Trump. And if they have Trump, all of this doesn't matter. But in a few years' time, these young Republicans are going to change the position of yeah. They will have lost America. Very soon, they will have lost America, and then Israel is lost as well.
Right. Allow me to ask you my last question, but in 30 seconds. After a year of Sayyid Nasrallah's absence, accompanied by the clamor of fateful events in every direction, how will he be remembered? Is he still guiding the conflict? And has everything he anticipated and predicted concerning the consequences and implications of what is happening around us today held true?
Yes, he has correctly foreseen the world, and he took the measures that were appropriate. And it's unfortunate that this new technology from some of these American firms was able to cause such devastation to the leadership, his leadership, and to his second in command, who was going to Satyadin, who was going to take over. But no, his path, he's a light. He was a light. He was a light that illumined.
Right.
And that goes on. Of course it goes on. And that is something that people come to. Just as we go back to the great leaders of the past, they still resonate. They still inspire us to do things that are not just sort of material and in political, in this sort of nihilistic way.
Right. Right. We will leave it there. Ambassador Alasdair Crook, former British diplomat, thank you very much indeed for sharing your interesting prognosis and thoughts. Always a pleasure to have you, Alasdair.
Always a pleasure to be on your program. Thank you, Jessica.
ها هي ذي الذكرى تحل عام على الغياب الصاخب بالحضور، الحضور في لوعة القلوب، الحضور في حقائق العقول، الحضور في توجيه الصراع، الحضور في رسوخ الثوابت، فكل ما كان رأيا في الظاهر صار مبدأ بالشهادة. لعل السيد حسن نصر الله رحل جسدا، لكنه أورثنا إرثا لا يفنى، إرث القيادة الحكيمة والشجاعة النادرة والروح المصممة والصبر والبصيرة. هو الذي كان يصنع الحضور بقيادته ويلهب الأرواح والعقول والقلوب قبل الحناجر ويعبئ الساحات. غاب عن أعيننا، لكنه حضر في ضمير الأمة وفي وجدانها وفي استمرار طريق المقاومة التي وهب لها حياته. فكانت شهادته ختما لمبادئه وتأكيدا على الثوابت ووعدا بنصر آت لا محالة بإذن الله. بعد هذا الأثر الذي لا يزال يشغل العالم وبعد كل الأحداث التي أعقبت الشهادة، هل اكتشفنا سر عظمة هذه الشخصية؟ هل أكدت الأحداث صدق مواقفه؟ وهل استطاع العدو تحييده أو الإضعاف من حضوره؟ من كل الميادين حياكم.